today we are headed to Salisbury, as my husband would say, Salisbury, but I'm gonna call it the way that I know it. So we are headed to Salisbury, and I'm really excited because there's a lot of really cool things to show you guys. So come with me again with Gigi. We do got Byron with us as well. So we are headed to Salisbury to check out some cool stuff. So let's go. Okay, let's start with the big draw to Salisbury. So the big draw is going to be the Salisbury Cathedral, which was completed in 1258. It is a huge cathedral. It is beautiful. And as you can see, it is lined with saints on the front-facing side. It is a working cathedral. So there was a program going on earlier this day, Blessing of Pets, actually, which I thought was pretty amazing. So we didn't get to do a full tour inside, so I'm just going to highlight some quick things that I was able to capture for you. So the first thing is the Magna Carta is stored here. I try to get a cheeky little view through the glass doors. I get a bit closer in a second, but it was closed to the public on this day, so we weren't able to go in and go see it. But if you are a history buff, you can kind of see where it's pointing down that side of the room for the full Magna Carta, so you can go see that. So here is a picture of the inside, because I was able to go inside very quickly because I asked if I could see this, which is the world's oldest clock. So this clock dates back to 1386, which is crazy, but they did let me take a quick peek of that. It is really amazing. They said it still works. The thing a lot of people come to visit is the Wilton House. It was closed when we came by, so that was unfortunate, but this was built, I think, around 1540s. And it was the county seat of the Earls of Pembroke. So it has been used and seen many famous people go through its walls. It is still, I believe, used as a residence sometimes, but it has also been used for so many filming locations. So a lot of filming locations, including Tomb Raider from 2018, Pride and Prejudice, I mean, a lot of them. Okay, the final thing that could be a big draw for a lot of people here is Old Sarum. Now, Old Sarum is the deserted site of the earliest settlement of Salisbury. I believe there used to be a huge castle that sat here, and now it is pretty much the fort around the castle which remains, and some of the ruins inside the castle. So they do have some drawings and pictures and reconstructions of what the castles would have looked like. And as I was moving through here, there were various plaques to show what room would have been what at the time. But essentially, it is historical ruins now. Now, if you are a history buff, you could spend hours exploring through these ruins, reading the plaque, seeing what used to be here, imagine what the rooms looked like, looking at the reconstructions to get a feel for the overall space. I didn't have the time to do that today, but it's a pretty cool site. And I also wanted to show just kind of the surrounding area as well, because if you're not super into going through ruins and checking out history, the views at Old Sarum, if you want to take your dog and go for a walk, just kind of walk through these hills, it is absolutely incredible and just amazing. So I could strongly recommend that as well. But overall, Old Sarum is a place that many people, especially Stonehenge is right down the road, so it is a place that many people come to check out while they're here or doing a heritage or history or relics tour, including that of Stonehenge. So enjoy this panorama kind of the whole area. All right, for our literary connection, we are headed to a church here on the outskirts of Salisbury. And this is where, sorry, Gigi is literally snoring while I'm editing. So this is where William Golding, author of Lord of the Flies, is buried. And I just wanted to do a quick entrance into this church because the doors were open. There was no one inside, but it was so absolutely still and quiet, which was just a little bit unnerving, to be honest. But we did find his grave, and I was able to pay my respects. It is in a very, very peaceful location, and I'm gonna zoom in here so you can read the tombstone. But it's in a very, very peaceful spot underneath a huge tree, so it gets lots of shade. And yeah, on the back was this carved angel. So it was really nice to pay my respects. I really love Lord of the Flies. And this was his house. It was called Ebel Thatch. So it's a nice thatched roof, and it was getting rethatched the day that we were driving by. And we obviously didn't want to stop and bother, the people who are the current owners and residents of the house. So it was just a quick drive by just to kind of show you the general area of where he lived. And I will also just kind of highlight the plaque here because I was able to take a close-up of that. Okay, my lunch today, as you know, I'm gluten-free. We ate at a place called Tinga, which is a Mexican fusion place. It was very, very good. We will be back. Highly recommend. Amazing. And I am so disappointed that I didn't get more footage, but as you can see, I kind of ate these very quickly. These were pork carnitas tacos, and we also had a sweet potato taco and something called the chicken Tinga tacos. They're teeny, so you get like 3 of them on a plate, which is really nice. I also had the steak and cheese quesadilla. I ate it before I remembered to take footage. I am so sorry, but it was absolutely delicious. And then I had a gluten-free brownie with some ice cream and some freeze-dried raspberries on top. Honestly, A+ meal. Okay, today's Off the Beaten Path is going to take quite the Halloween turn. So we're going to start here at the Haunch of Venison, which goes back to the 1300s. It is a pub at one time. It was a brothel, then it was an inn. And here is the story. The story was in the early 1800s. There was a card game going on, and a stranger walked into the inn and said, "I'd like to play cards," and started playing cards and started winning and winning. That this created some suspicion for the other card players that maybe the stranger wasn't playing a fair deck of cards. So the story goes, a butcher who was sitting in the card circle got really upset and cut off the stranger's hand. And when he did, some aces fell out of the stranger's sleeve, proving that he had in fact been cheating. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and they actually found a hand bricked up behind the fireplace with all of the fingers still holding the cards, supposedly. So here is that hand. It is now a mummified hand that is being kept and protected and displayed here. It has been stolen twice, once in the early 2000s, again in the later, I think, 2010s. It was reported on twice by the BBC, and as far as I know, it has been returned both times. There are some disputing things saying this is a replica, but I think this is the actual hand, but they used a replica during the time when it was missing. So really random, really bizarre, and really strange to see. This next site is the High Street Gate, and at one time this housed a small lockup jail, but it is sitting right on the entrance to the High Street, and it's very medieval looking. Okay, so this next really unusual find was actually once a part of the Salisbury Cathedral. It's called the Salisbury Cathedral Porch, I think, but it was moved from the cathedral, and it now is in the middle of this garden well away from the cathedral, which is really, really strange. And they've had numerous projects to restore it, but it was actually really kind of spooky just seeing this random kind of bit of the cathedral here. And I had an opportunity to kind of walk through it, which was also, I don't know, it was just kind of a strange, spooky feeling, so I definitely want to include it. So this is the famous Doom painting in the St. Thomas Church. So I've got the outside of the church here. I'll give you a little background. So the Doom painting, I think, dates that back to the late 1400s, and it was covered and then refound in the early 1800s. They're called Doom paintings because they depict the Last Judgment. And it is right here in this central arch so that nobody who is coming to church couldn't remember and keep this imagery and context of the Last Judgment in mind. So definitely wanted to show this. It was quite immaculate. Okay, so this is a great pre-October, pre-Halloween site we're going to. We're going to something called the Witches' Trees of Groverley Wood. I think I've pronounced that correctly. But supposedly this marks the burial site of 3 supposed witches, accused witches, from the 18th century, where they were ultimately executed. So yeah, we're going to head there and see what we can see. So we've been walking for a little over a mile, and it's starting to get dark just because of how shaded this area is. Definitely starting to get just a wee bit spooky. So yeah, look at these trees though. This is absolutely beautiful. But this is supposedly leading us right to the Witches' Trees. I'd go ahead and tell you the story. So the story goes like this. There were sisters called the Hansel sisters who were relatively new to this area. And in 1737, a town called Wilton had I believe it was smallpox, break out, and a bunch of people died. And because the sisters were new to the area, they were immediately blamed for being the cause, and ultimately they were found guilty of witchcraft without even a trial. They were brought out here to the woods where they were bludgeoned to death, and from the sources that I read online, their skulls were actually caved in with various equipments. So there were 4 trees that mysteriously came up out of these graves. I say mysteriously because there's a bit of speculation that these may have been planted in those spots and may have just sprouted incidentally. So we don't actually know that, but that's the rumor. And one of these trees has since blown down, apparently, due to high storms, but the other 3 are going strong. So that is the story. So let's find these trees.
Get the tree.
I don't know what that sound is, just for the record. It's a bit spooky. You can see people have left mementos here. I can just kind of go around, see if there's anything else on any of the other sides. There's kind of nothing growing right in the vicinity of it, which is also a bit strange. Hopefully that's a horseback rider. See some carvings. Some things down in there. It's really weird because the branches do kind of look like giant feet. Like, you know, like a harpy is standing here or something. Which is really strange. But this is also a reminder of paranoia in a very dark time. Some little, like, what are those earrings? Can you see that? It's super strange. Yeah, so there you go. This is the witch's tree. There are 2 others, but this is the largest one. Okay, back to something a bit lighter. My pop culture call out is the Montpesson, I'm not sure, the Montpesson house, which is a huge estate and was used as a primary filming location in Sense and Sensibility. So this is probably something that many would recognize, but it looks exactly the same, hasn't changed at all. It's an incredibly beautiful property. Finally, for the don't miss, I would say there are amazing shops, there are incredible pubs, really historical, beautiful buildings, but Salisbury is a place that I will be coming back to, number 1, to have lunch at Tinga, but number 2, because there are so many amazing stores and amazing pubs that I just love to check out. We just had a blast just kind of exploring and going in various places, but there were so many shops and things down this high street and all over. There was a farmer's market that was huge and popping and happening, so that was kind of in this area. So yeah, shops, pubs, definitely don't miss them. All right, that is my tour of Salisbury, and as we were leaving, we saw this beautiful rainbow. So here is a friendly reminder that even though there was some dark, unsettling, kind of darker history type things in here, there is always another beautiful rainbow to look forward to, and hopefully a better time ahead. So that was it for Salisbury. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.